Police respond to a double homicide over the weekend and arrest a man on charges of killing both his parents.
A fight at a gas station leads to a fatal shooting, and a new processing center at the jail is changing the way prisoners are brought into detention.
Today we had lots of sunshine. We may get at least one more tomorrow. We'll talk about that coming up in weather.
Coming up in sports, Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics held their Jamboree games this past weekend. Also, it was a great weekend for two Oxford athletes. We'll tell you more about both of these in just a minute as EAN Local News starts now.
This segment of EAN Local News is brought to you by Waldrop Manufacturing, metal buildings made right here in Calhoun County.
Hello, we're glad you could join us. I'm Katie Edwards.
And I'm Mike Stedham.
Calhoun County Sheriff Matthew Wade says deputies answered a 911 call from Taylor Road in Ohatchee on Saturday from a man saying he shot two people. When officers arrived at the scene, they detained 35-year-old Tyler Sage Ferguson, who lived at the home. While searching the house, deputies found the body of Ferguson's father, Randall Ferguson. They also discovered his mother, Debbie Ferguson, who was on the back porch suffering from a gunshot wound. She was taken to Gadsden Regional Medical Center, where she later died from those injuries. Tyler Ferguson is being held in county jail on 2 murder charges.
Talladega police say a man was shot and killed last week at a gas station following an argument with a juvenile. According to a news release from the department, officers were called to the Chevron station at 600 Broadway Avenue on Thursday and found 24-year-old Marvin Darius Smith Jr. suffering from gunshot wounds. He was taken to Citizens Emergency Room where he died from those injuries. Investigators learned that Smith had been involved in a physical confrontation inside the store with a 17-year-old juvenile before being shot. Because this is an ongoing investigation involving underage participants, police say they will release no more details about the incident at this time. Talladega police are being assisted by the Jack State Center for Applied Forensics, the Talladega County District Attorney's Office, and the Talladega County Sheriff's Department.
At 8:04 Sunday morning, Lincoln Police and Talladega County deputies answered a call of shots being fired in the 1200 block of Stimley Road. One victim was found on the scene and taken to the hospital by Lincoln Fire and Rescue. The victim, whose name has not been released by authorities, was suffering from non-life-threatening injuries. Police say this was an isolated incident, and based on the information received by investigators, there is not any threat to the public. Since this is an active investigation, no further information will be released at this time. People with information about this case are asked to contact investigators at 205-763-4070. When we come back, jail improvements are underway to make the processing of prisoners more efficient.
For metal buildings in Alabama and the Southeast, Waldrop Manufacturing is your one-stop source. A Waldrop metal building provides the coverage and protection your investments need. They specialize in carports, RV covers, portable buildings, and storage buildings. Stop paying rent for storage. With Waldrop's price per foot, you can actually save money by buying straight from the manufacturer. Waldrop buildings are guaranteed because Waldrop manufactures buildings with U.S. steel right here in Calhoun County. Waldrop Manufacturing, serving the entire Southeast. Give them a call today. This segment of EAN Local News is brought to you by Oxford Lumber. Come visit any of our locations in Oxford, Jacksonville, Talladega, and Roanoke.
A new medical wing at the Calhoun County Jail is one phase of a $15 million renovation project now underway at the facility. It's the first time since the jail was opened in 1986 that so much work has been done on the structure, according to Sheriff Matthew Wade. Another phase of the renovation involves the intake facility, where suspects are brought in for booking before being added to the main jail population. Wade says the $3.8 million being spent in this area will make the process simpler and safer for his deputies as well as for the inmates themselves.
So this is not just a small project or just a medical wing. This is an overhaul of the jail, and it don't fix all the issues because in jails that's what it is. We have issues, but this is a major investment to Calhoun County and its future probably for the next 40 or 50 years.
Much of the work on the intake facility is being overseen by Anniston architect Jay Jenkins, who's a member of the design committee making improvements at the jail. On a recent tour of the facility, now under construction, he explained that the needs of the sheriff's department were not being met by the old structure.
There were not previously holding cells. There was a cage over here that people sat in, and if somebody, in the past, if somebody had said, hey, I think I'm going to kill myself, then the sheriff is obligated by law to put them in a place where they can watch them 24/7, and that was it.
When we return, a public safety notice has been issued for a local construction site.
For over 60 years, Oxford Lumber has been servicing our area, and our customer service has always been our main focus. Our customer service is what sets us apart from anyone else. From the moment you enter, our highly trained staff will treat you like family.
To enthusiastically provide total customer satisfaction within a positive and self-fulfilling employee relations environment. Visit us at any of our 4 locations or at oxfordlumber.com.
This segment of EAN Local News is brought to you by WM Grocery, located in Heflin, Wadowee, Roanoke, and in Piedmont.
The Oxford Yellow Jackets high school football team held its annual Fan Day program Friday night to welcome students back from summer vacation and get them ready for the season ahead. Students, families, and faculty gathered on Lamar Field to meet the youth football teams and cheerleaders from all grade levels, as well as members of the varsity band. On Saturday, Oxford High seniors were invited to paint their parking spaces in the school parking lot. Senior Lily Calvert tells EAN News that despite the heat, a lot of seniors came out for the event.
Everybody, I'm Lily Calvert, a senior at Oxford High School, and today we are painting our parking spots. It has been a hot one, but a good one, and a lot more people showed up than I thought they would. And I should have brought a tent.
Prizes will be given to students whose artwork receives the most likes on Facebook, and the competition continues through this coming Friday.
Anniston officials say the contractor extending the Chief Ladiga Trail is entering a critical phase of construction, and they're asking the public to stay off the work site until the project is completed. They say the construction zone is now more hazardous than ever due to the presence of heavy equipment, a rock base that is not safe to ride on, and larger rocks that may be hidden from view. These conditions make the area extremely unsafe for any form of access. Barricades have been set up in various locations along the 6.5-mile trail extension, and the public is being asked to stay away from the construction site, especially during weekends when activity is at its peak.
Mike, we could not have ordered up a better weekend weather-wise.
The temperature was a little bit cooler, the sun was shining. It was kind of hard to get back in the work week today, wasn't it?
It was, and it leaves us asking the question, well, can we get another day like that?
Keep our fingers crossed.
That's right. Jordan Smith is filling in tonight for Jon Holder, and he joins us now in the EAN Weather Center. Jordan?
Well, Mike and Katie, looks like we may not get that perfect weather we had this weekend and today, maybe at least one more day. We'll talk about that in the complete 7-day forecast coming up.
Spring into freshness at WM. Celebrate the season with our bountiful selection of farm fresh produce. From juicy berries to crisp greens, taste the flavors of spring at WM. Visit us today and let the freshness bloom in every bite.
We had lots of sunshine today, very little cloud cover. High of 91 degrees today, right there on the average. As for the low this morning was 67, very pleasant morning. We're a little bit under normal of 71 degrees is your average temperature, record high of 102 and a record low of 58. As we move to weather on your street tonight in Heflin, there on Amy Lane, great, perfectly clear skies and a great tonight, low of 68 degrees, so it's going to feel real pleasant as you go into the morning hours. As we look at to tomorrow, we'll head to Jacksonville on 12th Avenue Northeast, where 90 degrees is probably going to be the last cool-ish day we're going to have of the week as these temperatures are beginning to rise, and we may even see some storms as we roll into the 7-day. 92 tomorrow, up at low of 69 degrees. One thing you're going to notice here is those lows are going to actually start to creep up a little bit as we get into the middle of the week. Low of 70, high of 93 on Wednesday. And then as we slowly creep into, as we look at the weekend, those highs are going to become a little higher. Those lows especially the same way. Then we might see some thunderstorms as we roll into the weekend. But before we get to the weekend, there's always Friday, which means football. Namath has got us some local sports updates coming up.
This past weekend, Northeast Alabama Youth Athletics held their first weekend of Jamboree games. 8 different programs and 24 teams total hit the field to kick off the season. When you put the sophomores, juniors, and seniors together, it combines for 24 teams that were at Munford this past weekend. Each team stepped on the scale for weigh-ins before hitting the field. Oxford and Munford started the day off, as you see in the highlights right here. White Plains and Lincoln followed them. Then Jacksonville and Sachs went head-to-head. And to end the day, Welborn and Alexandria played each other. The next set of Jamboree games are set to take place at Anniston, with the rest of the teams from the league playing then. The first official week of the season is September 7th. You can see more highlights from the Jamboree games this past weekend by watching the Locker Room Show on our East Alabama Now page. One of the top defensive football players in the state of Alabama and East Alabama announced his commitment this past weekend to play college football. Keenan Britt is a 2026 linebacker for Oxford, and over the weekend he announced his commitment to play college football for South Carolina. Keenan received an offer from South Carolina shortly after the 4th of July. He held other offers from the University of Auburn, Arkansas, Ole Miss, Oregon, and many others. Keenan Britt is rated as the 26th best linebacker in all of America, according to 24/7 Sports. Last season, Keenan Britt had a great season for Oxford. He finished the season with 101 total tackles, including 8 for loss and 6 sacks. His older brother KJ played linebacker for Oxford, then went to Auburn before going on to the NFL. It was a great weekend to be an Oxford Yellow Jacket. On top of Keenan Britt announcing his commitment to play football, Oxford Baseball had one of their talented young players selected to represent the United States on the diamond. USA Baseball Today named the final 20-man roster for the 2024 15U national team. The announcement came following the 2024 15U national team training camp, which was held at the USA Baseball National Training Complex in North Carolina. This year's 15U national team will travel to the greater Atlanta area for a 5-game international series with Australia. That will take place in September. One of the players on that team is Rocco Maniscalco from Oxford. Rocco is the only player from the state of Alabama that was selected. Rocco was an impact player for Oxford last season in their chase for a state championship. Rocco will represent the United States and Alabama and Oxford in September, and we wish him the best of luck. That's it for EAN Local Sports. Let's go back over to Mike and Katie.
Thanks for the update, Namath, and thank you for watching today. You can find us every weeknight on Facebook and YouTube, our website, and now on Rumble.
Just go to the platform of your choice and watch our news, sports, and weather coverage whenever it's convenient for you. We'll see you back here Tuesday for your news on your schedule.